Hello everyone, my name is Mini Sethi. I hope you all are staying healthy. Today we are going to talk about internal and external balance with Swan diagram. Internal balance means when our domestic country has achieved full employment with price stability. Internal balance means when our domestic country has achieved full employment with price stability. External balance means equilibrium in balance of payment, and there are mainly two policies in order to achieve external and internal balance. First is expenditure changing policy, second is expenditure switching policy. Expenditure changing policies mainly include fiscal and monetary policies, and expenditure switching policy mainly include appreciation and depreciations of currency. And Swan diagram mainly explain how with the help of these two policies we can simultaneously achieve external and internal balance. Now we will see Swan diagram. On x-axis we have domestic absorption. Domestic absorption means the total spending within economy of country. Total spending within economy of country will be called domestic absorption. Y-axis we have real exchange rate. This one is internal balance curve. Slope of internal balance curve is downward because a higher exchange rate and domestic absorption have inverse relation. Higher exchange rate means appreciation of currency. Appreciation lead to reduce in export and increase in import. If import are increasing, that means domestic absorption is reducing, or we can say that if import are increasing, that means total spending within economy of country is reducing. So we can say the higher exchange rate and domestic absorption have inverse relation. That's why slope of IB curve is downward. IB means internal balance. This one is external balance curve. Slope of external balance curve is upward because fall in exchange rate and domestic absorption have a positive relation. Fall in exchange rate means depreciation, and depreciation lead to increase in export and reduce in import. If import are reducing, that means domestic absorption is increasing. So we can say that fall in exchange rate and domestic absorption have a positive relation. That's why slope of external balance curve is upward, but slope of internal balance curve is downward because higher exchange rate and domestic absorption have an inverse relation. Is equilibrium point. At this point, we have simultaneously achieved external as well as internal balance. This curve divided into four zones. First zone represent inflation in domestic country but surplus in balance of payment. Second zone represent inflation in domestic country plus deficit in balance of payment. Third zone represent unemployment in domestic country with deficit in balance of payment. And this zone represent unemployment in domestic country with surplus balance of payment. Only this point shows equilibrium, all other point shows fluctuation and disequilibrium in economy. With the help of expenditure changing policy as well as expenditure switching policies, countries try to achieve this equilibrium point. So E is our equilibrium point. Every country want to achieve this equilibrium point. Initially we assume in order to achieve external balance, country will adopt expenditure changing policies like fiscal policy and monetary policies. But in order to achieve internal balance, country will adopt expenditure switching policies like depreciation and appreciation. All point of IB curve shows internal equilibrium, but all point of EB shows external equilibrium. Initially assume country at this point 1. Initially our country at this point 1, where unemployment in domestic country with surplus balance of payment. So in order to achieve internal equilibrium at this point 2, a country will adopt expenditure switching policies like depreciation. So with the depreciation, country will move from point 1 to 2. In order to achieve external equilibrium at this point 3, a country will adopt expenditure changing policies like fiscal policy, or we can say the government spending. So through government spending, country will able to move from point 2 to 3, where country has achieved external equilibrium. With the same process, country will move from 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. But here you can see we are going away from our equilibrium. Our main motive to achieve this equilibrium point E. But with this strategy, we are going away from our equilibrium rather than coming close to our equilibrium. So we can say that expenditure changing policy for external balance and expenditure switching policy for internal balance will not work for a country. So E is our equilibrium point where we have internal and external balance simultaneously. According to Swan model, in order to achieve this E point, a country should adopt expenditure changing policies like fiscal and monetary policy for internal balance, but expenditure switching policies like appreciation and depreciation for external balance. Now we will reverse. Initially assume economy before this 8 point. Before this 8 point, you can see unemployment in domestic economy and deficit in balance of payment. In order to achieve this 8 point where country have internal equilibrium, a country will adopt expenditure changing policies like fiscal policy, or we can say the government spending. Through government spending, country is able to achieve this 8 point where country have internal equilibrium. Now, in order to achieve this 7 point where country have external balance, a country will adopt expenditure switching policies like depreciation. Through depreciation, country is able to move from this 8 point to 7 point where country have external balance. With the same process, country will move from 7 to 6, 6 to 5, 5 to 4, 4 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 1. Eventually, country will achieve this E equilibrium point where we have simultaneously internal and external balance. So this is all about external and internal balance with Swan model. I think you got it, and thank you so much for watching this video. Bye. Take care.